Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to TNAWrestling.com and for another edition of Hermie's Hot Seat. I'm your host, Hermie Sadler. We're taking you outside the ring and behind the scenes to meet your favorite stars here in TNA Wrestling. We got another great show lined up for you today, a guy that I've been following and been a fan of for years. His work in the ring, he's now in TNA, Orlando Jordan. Orlando, welcome.
How you doing, Hermie?
Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Come on in, have a seat.
Thank you for having me. Let's come on. See you.
You got some guests with you.
Yes, I do, Hermie. This is the lovely Santana.
Hi, nice to meet you.
And the very gentlemanly Cameron.
How are you? Nice to meet you. I wasn't expecting to have any guests, but you guys spread out, make yourself at home.
Hermie, these are my support group right here.
Yeah?
Entourage, to say.
Well, glad to have him here on the hot seat.
Well, thank you.
First of all, before we get started, welcome to TNA.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
You a former champion, United States champion.
Yes, sir.
And I know you want to accomplish some of those same goals in TNA. You've been here long enough now to kind of get the lay of the land a little bit. Tell me your first, your first reaction to what you've seen so far here in TNA.
Well, coming to TNA, it's been a great ride right now. Being here ever since January 4th, being part of the live show and everything. It's a good time, a very exciting time for TNA, and I'm happy to be here, man. Everybody's treating me with open arms and stuff, and it's been a really good experience so far.
When you left WWE, you didn't quit wrestling, obviously. You also got a wrestling school that we'll talk about.
Yeah, definitely.
But what have you done in the meantime before you came back to TNA and got back in front of the fans?
Well, a lot of people was under the impression that when I left WWE and I quit WWE and I quit wrestling. And granted, a lot of people think when you leave WWE, that's it.
That's it, yeah.
It's the end of the road and stuff. But that's not true. This is my career. This is what I do for a living. I'm a professional in the sport of wrestling, and I continue to do that. And I've been traveling all around the globe and stuff. Literally an international superstar and stuff. In what I do. And I've lived in outside of the country, South America, Ecuador, Japan, and Italy. Doing many travels and stuff, and working for many companies and stuff, and winning many championships.
Tell us and the fans watching here a little bit about your background. I know you've got a wrestling background in college, Boise State, but tell us a little bit about your history in athletics.
Well, I started playing sports. Actually, funny, and I'm sure you'll talk about this too and stuff. I started playing sports way before I could even talk. Honestly, I was 6 years old, and so I got into boxing and amateur wrestling, and I did play football too. And I've been doing that my whole life. I went through college and high school. I was actually a two-time state champion in high school and national champion and four-time All-American in college, and I've been wrestling internationally and stuff. So I've been in sports my whole life. A professional athlete in every way.
I told you before we came on the air, one thing that stood out with me about doing a little bit of research on you was that, and you mentioned talking, you started athletics before you could talk at the age of 6, and people are saying, wow, you couldn't talk by 6, but you say were misdiagnosed with autism. Talk about that.
Yes, when I was, I didn't start talking until I was 8 years old. When I was a kid, I was diagnosed as being autistic, and the doctors told my mom and my family that I would never talk. As you see now, I'm pretty well spoken. And that was something I had to battle and fight through and stuff, because I not talking until I was 8 years old. I didn't go straight to school like everybody else. Right. I went to special schools and speech development and everything, and to learn how to talk properly and get my words out. And then when I did start speaking, I had very bad stuttering, and so which you can imagine makes you very shy and stuff. Very closed off and everything. But one thing I did know is that I wanted to be a professional wrestler, and this is what I wanted to do since I was 6 years old. I knew that, and and I never wanted to be anything else. So I told myself that in order to to be here to this point and stuff, I had to teach myself to be more open, and be more vocal, especially in a family of 11.
Yeah, you got to speak up for what you want. But as I told you, I have a daughter with autism, and it was kind of odd to hear that story, because now we talk about kids that are autistic and are not diagnosed, and then you have a situation where you were diagnosed or misdiagnosed, and you've been able to overcome it. But we fight that struggle every day with our daughter, and it can be very frustrating. So you've done a great job to overcome that. Now talk about your wrestling school. You have a wrestling school out in California.
Yeah, I mean, we have a wrestling school in Burbank, California. It's partnered with two well-known wrestlers and stuff too in the business. Junior Fatu, aka Rikishi, and David Heath, Gangrel, and another cousin of ours, Black Pro Wrestling name Reno in Hawaii.
Wow!
All very popular names and stuff. If you're a diehard wrestling fan and stuff, all those names sound familiar and stuff. That's because the family names that have been in wrestling for years and years.
How do you fans at home, watching this show? How can they find out more about your school?
Go to knoxpro.com, look at our website and everything, and we have right now we have maybe 28 students right now and stuff. We just graduated 16 students, I believe.
And you guys, all three of you guys, are personally involved in the training? And
hands-on. That's the difference between many professional wrestling schools and stuff.
It's not just a name.
Not just a name. Not Knox Pro. Not just a name and stuff. You have three of the best professional athletes, and professional wrestlers, in the business, hands-on right there in the ring and stuff, and teaching the students and stuff. And it doesn't get any better than that.
Let's talk about TNA for a couple of minutes. Great time here in the company. A lot of stuff going on. What are your thoughts about how quickly everything is happening here in TNA?
Hermie, I'm excited about everything. Everything seems to be moving in the right direction. Like I said, great welcome here. The fans have been great. And I'm just here. I want to, continue to prove myself. I've always done that, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And to, I say I'm a performer, in the ring. I'm an entertainer, and I have some unique things in a very eccentric way of how I entertain and stuff, and I'm looking forward to bringing that to the audience.
Where do you see yourself fitting in? What's your first plan of attack, here in TNA to reestablish yourself?
Well, my first plan of attack is just like anything else. I've been in this business for over 12 years. I've held many titles, and I don't see myself going for anything less than a championship in TNA, whether it's the global or whether it's the world.
How do you, it's a new regime here now.
Yeah.
With Hulk Hogan, Eric Bischoff, and they've told everybody lace your boots up. And how do you? I would assume that having the experience that you've got, you should be able to, to jump ahead of the line a little bit and get some opportunities. The question is, how do you get them to allow you those opportunities? Well,
I can tell you this. I was, it's no secret. Everybody knows that I'm here because I was asked to by Eric and Hogan and stuff. And but that being said, everybody knows that. But I'm still here because my work is impeccable.
Right.
And there's no question about that. When it comes to Orlando Jordan in the ring.
What do you think about the move to Monday nights and the timing of it? Do you think that was a great move, or are you? Well, everybody's got varying opinions. TNA went for so long doing their business and building the product on a weekly, monthly basis, but somewhat under the radar. And all of a sudden they stand up and here we are.
You know what? I'm very excited about it and stuff. I wasn't here when TNA first started and stuff. A lot of the guys, I got so much respect for them because they did the hard grunt and work and stuff, to get to this point and stuff. My career it was in a different company, but what I bring to the table is the experience of performing in a live audience, and that's, I'm gonna tell you, that's a whole different realm, and I do it very well.
How do you? It's one conversation I have with fans, similar to a NASCAR race too. For a lot of people, the best part about being a professional wrestler is walking through that curtain in that live crowd. I mean, that's quite. And I, been on a couple pay-per-views, and although I'm not a wrestler at all, but the experience in that live, the adrenaline of that live crowd it's really hard to describe sometimes.
Definitely. Before I go out to the ring, I share a little secret I never share with anybody else. I say my little prayer and stuff. You just say, bless my hands, bless my feet. Pray my Lord, my soul to keep, and I bless everybody that I'm in the ring with and stuff, and that's participating around me and stuff, and ask the fans that I entertain the fans like I never had before, every night, and when I walk through that curtain, the only thing that comes to my mind and stuff, and my feeling is that I'm home. That's what I feel.
Well, TNA wrestling fans, as TNA has grown, Hulk Hogan is on the scene, and since he's been here, The stars are coming to TNA. Orlando Jordan is another one. Appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you, Hermie.
Thank you guys for coming out. Watch
Appreciate it.
Orlando Jordan as he tries to regain championship gold here in TNA.